Hi everyone, Alta Wisdom speaking. Today is the 5th session of our kick device creation. We're gonna investigate the sample accuracy that we've been struggling with last week. And finally, I've decided to change my approach with regards to how the kick will play. So we're gonna see that we will go through separately rendering the kick, the waveform, and on the other hand doing the MIDI generation, and we're going to investigate a bit as well on the polyphonic mode, so as to have the best approach to play or kick when doing kick rolls and all that kind of stuff. So let's get on to it. So there's definitely something going wrong here. Taken a bit of time to clean up a bit the project, so let's just open it and have a look at what it is, how it is now. Yeah, okay. So I haven't changed anything whatsoever in the device. I just moved things all around to have something a bit clearer, and I've color-coded some cables to make it a bit more easy to follow. So here we have these blue cables, which correspond to the overall duration. So if you press here, so you can alt select all these cables, and you can change their color easily using this. So blue is the duration, and red are the triggers for the kick envelope. That's it. However, let's have a look. So if I just send maximum velocity to the device, you see that we're having, let's correct, just enter something in the pitch. Okay, and if I send a note from here, as you can see, I get something which seems to be pretty consistent, so there is no phase shift whatsoever. But if I go back to live and press play, so I'm gonna have a kick every second, and you see that now the phase is changing, so there's definitely something going wrong when using the MIDI. So I don't want to spend too much time changing that. So what we're gonna do is something which I honestly should have done from the beginning, but I was hoping it wouldn't be necessary, is separate the MIDI player, so the actual sound part, from the generation of the kick, which means that what I'm gonna do is generate this waveform as soon as anything is changed in the whole workflow, and then have it stored in a buffer, and use that buffer as a sampler, as a classic sampler, to play it, which will be much more precise and sample accurate. So let's get on to it. So how we're gonna do that? First, what I think is I'm gonna get back. Yeah, it's probably better. You remember that on the previous session we have added buffers here because I thought it had an impact, and it was the reason why we were having problems. So now I'm just gonna get rid of that, just not remove it totally, but okay. What I'm gonna do is freeze this device, so making sure that we have a perfect version, and then I'm gonna copy it and create a new version out of it. So it's gonna be version 0.2 whatever, and I'm gonna replace, switch this with version 0.2, so we can use we'll be working on this one, but we still have the original one, the previous one with the buffers. What do I need? I need, yeah, I have this frequency from here, so we actually were using the output of this, which, if you remember, the output of my envelope there, of my function, is going to be able to trigger a curve object. So I'm going to get back to a curved object, and I'm going to connect that here, and instead of using this, I probably just need to do that, and we should be okay. Let's check what it does. Yeah. it's enough. So if you have a look, we still have this phaser thing, because I still want to have a phaser trigger, even though it doesn't seem to work. But for now, let's keep it as it is. I'm gonna get rid of this for now. It's not used. This pitch buffer is not used at all. Everything which is here is useless, and just don't remove it for the time being. And in the pitch function, I can actually remove all that, but it's no big deal. Just well, let's keep it for the time being. It's just doesn't make any bad. I just remove it if it's not enough, and see if it causes problems performance-wise. But I don't think it's going to be the case. Anyway, at the end of the project, I'll clean up to make sure that I don't have useless stuff in it. And now, so again, something which is working, but what I want to do is totally decorrelate this here. What will be happening is that I want to be recording, I can disconnect all that. And this is useless. This can be disconnected as well. And we'll see how we use that, whatever. So now what I want to trigger is each time I'm going to change any of these parameters or this, I want to regenerate that kind of stuff. So first thing, we're going to need a buffer to store the output. So the buffer name is going to be rendered kick, which is exactly what we want to do. Maximum is going to be 1 second. And I think, no, it was written. It's and file name we don't get, and it's just one channel, because I don't want to have anything stereo with regards to my kick. And we're gonna record in this buffer. I can grab things from there, as you have seen. Record pitch buffer. So using one actually starts the recorder. So I'm gonna need some record to render kick, like so. And this message, this trigger, which actually drives the recorder, so that's the one message that we'll be doing, will happen each time I change anything there. But we're gonna need to do several things at the same time, because we want to have this function doing its thing, this one as well. We want to do the amplitude as well, and finally do the record. So we're gonna trigger actually three things. The first one will be sending a bang. So I'm going to reuse this one, which is already color coded. So I'm going to send a bang to my pitch envelope, pitch function. I'm going to send a second bang to my amp envelope. And I'm keeping all the cables, because they probably, if I find some cables there, it means that I have something wrong. So I have this click here, which is correcting the phase. So this one should as well be triggered. And I'm going to trigger at the same time. Doesn't mean that there's going to be any difference, I think. And there is finally this one, which is the velocity. But by the way, we don't kick about the velocity, because we're going to render at maximum volume, and we'll just tweak it when we get a note. So this one is actually unneeded. So I'm going to remove this one. And good thing, but I need to know what I'm actually recording. So I'm recording the output of my cycle, so my sine wave, which is modulated by the amp envelope. And so that's going to be the output of this thing that I want to record. All right. Yeah, I've got this curve. This one is useless. I can connect this directly. Let's clean up a bit. We can disconnect this from plug out because we won't be using plug out for the time being. I'm going to put it with the MIDI parse because that's where we'll do the audio stuff. And that's it. And finally, I need to trigger this thing each time something is changed. So as you remember, trigger is triggered by anything you connect to it. So I'm going to connect this. If I change the duration, I'm going to change I'm going to record again. If I change the minimum and maximum pitch as well. So all these will regenerate our kick. However, if I'm tweaking, then I might be regenerating things like too fast. Let's have a look at our waveform. So let's have a look at the buffer. So I want to have a waveform, and I want to set this waveform to show me the content of rendered kick. Sorry. And anyway, I will be using this one, so I'm gonna add load bank, so it's gonna be automatically connected, so activated. So now it's empty, and if I touch something here, let's see what it does. Yeah, as you see, we have generated a 1 second. My buffer is 1 second, but as my kick is shorter than that, it's stopping before. But what happens if I just change all that? You see, it's not. Is it perfect? Yeah, seems so. You get weird things here, but that's normal because the this trigger gets triggered too many times. And if I change the pitch, is it working? Not sure. Oh, forget if you think, because actually my envelope should as well trigger this kick regeneration and this one as well, but we don't have this. We don't have the bang coming out of this. So let's open this one, and I want to get a message out whenever I change my envelope. So the bang is here. If I touch there, a bang is sent through this last inlet, and I'm gonna take this bang and send it to my regeneration, and gonna do the same on the envelope. Again, we got some useless stuff there, probably. Yeah, all this is still a bit of a mess. Sorry about that. This is something I'll change later on. That really we are still somehow prototyping, so it's good to have some measures. So what happens if I change, for example, the amp envelope? Doesn't seem to be. Oh yeah, I forgot to connect here. Yeah, better. So now if I change here, yeah, you see my kick is regenerated. Good. Okay, and if I move this, yeah, this, okay, and the overall duration, okay. Good. I think we're good. So we actually have, if I do something which has some meaning, so that's been my maximum frequency, my minimum frequency as well. Let's draw something a bit. Yeah, it's not the best kick that I could do, but still it seems to work. Is it okay? Not sure we have this happening properly. Yes. think we're okay. Yeah. All right, so now we have our kick, which is actually rendered. Let's save this. And now we're gonna use that buffer instead of all this mess when we want to actually play a kick. So we're gonna use that and play that buffer, the wave file, when we get an incoming note. So how do we do that? My MIDI in will get. Okay, this is fine. This is okay, and what I want to do is trigger the play object. I think the play should be enough. I mean, we have several ways to play a kick, to play a buffer. So I'm gonna play, and then the buffer I'm gonna play is rendered kick. Okay, and let's have a look at play to see how we control that. So we just, okay, want our start to play buffer from beginning to end. So I think if we have, yeah, we actually don't need to do anything because it's expecting a 1. So if I get velocity, which is different from 0, then it's going to play my kick. And I connect this to my plugin, to my output. Let's just regenerate. And now let's have a look at the output here to make sure that something's happening. If I just change something, oh yeah, no, I'm not changing anything, but I'm gonna simulate a value there. Rendered kick, yeah, we have a 1 here, but I don't see anything, so let's check. Minimum maximum values are okay. Yeah, my kick has the gain is empty, so there's something wrong when I change my values. Okay, okay, good. So as you see, if I send several notes at the same time, they kind of interrupt each other. So we have something which is just not polyphonic, it's just a monophonic kick. So if you send, if you want to do some kind of kick roll, then each kick will be stopping the previous one, which is probably what we want. We'll have to deal with some clicks if we need to start over, just making sure that we are not clicking if I'm triggering several kicks in the middle, because we would have some jumps in the waveform, but this is something that we'll deal about probably later. Okay, so I'm just put the headphone so I can check that it's working. Let's save and press play. We can click from there. Okay, it seems to work. There's a few annoying stuff there, especially this click which I was talking to you about. When we change and tweak, it's actually retriggering, so we will need to find a way. But anyway, let's get rid of anything which is unnecessary. So we're gonna remove this pitch buffer for now. All this is unnecessary. I'm gonna open there and remove this, again, the pitch buffer that we don't need. We don't need this second envelope because we won't be using it, so we don't need all that mess. This is okay. No, I don't need that buffer, so that's smaller. By the way, let's clean up a bit here in the kick, in the amp envelope. I don't need this. And this is just for control, so it's not needed anymore. And yeah, it's not that beautiful. This is useless as well. So let's just keep what's necessary. I can remove this. This is good. Then this is probably unneeded, because what I want to do is show this instead. This is my rendered kick. So I can remove that. I can remove this as well. Here's what's just for controlling. I don't need it. This one as well. This is just some display. Same here. Sometimes you need to clean a bit because you end up not being able to see anything in your own project, which is really a nightmare. Let's do this like so. And yeah, this thing will have to move somewhere else, but for now that's fine. And this one will be added to the presentation. I'm gonna tweak it because I don't like the default display. Background color, there won't be any. Grid color, there is no grid as well. Selection color, we shouldn't be able to select. Yeah, ignore click. I don't need to have a look at to see the click. Remove the drag and drop because we won't drag anything inside this. It's just for displaying. The time ruler, I'm gonna remove it. Vertical tick marks, don't need it as well. Need them. Volume indicator doesn't mean a thing, I think. And the selection color, no. And the waveform color, it was green. So for the time being, let's keep that green. So it's similar to what we have. And now I'm gonna just put this one, there instead of the previous one. So this is minimum value and this is maximum value. So now if I use this one, yeah, I need of course, there's something which I'm gonna do is here. You see that I'm not displaying. I'm displaying the part of my waveform of a buffer which length is 1 second. So of course it's always if my global overall length is not 1 second, it's shrinked. So I'm gonna resize. Yeah, I'm gonna add something here which is let's just make sure. So size, I think, would be the message. Yeah, size. And what I will do is, so I'm gonna send a size message with the keyword $1 if I change my duration, like so. This way, I'm always showing the full length, though is it the full length? Oh yeah, it's the full length because it's stopping before. So now it should be okay. Yeah. So now my kick is actually displaying. Yeah, this is the yellow thing which is unnecessary. I'm gonna get rid of that. It shouldn't be even present because on the waveform you sometimes can select anything, but I don't see why anything is already selected. No problem. Selection color, yeah, just put it to invisible and that's it. I don't care. So now if I press play, yeah, it's so full when you change the duration and place wheel while playing. Okay, now what I want to do is have a look at a rendered version of this. So let's see how the render is. I think it's good. You still see that not perfectly. Yeah, let's remove the warp because sometimes the warp is, yeah, but if you remove the warp, you don't see anything. But as you can see, there always is a bit of delay here, which has absolutely no sense because I'm just dealing with MIDI, so there is nothing which should be able to play before my actual kick happens, but for some reason it does. Maybe it has to do with the fact that the device is frozen and we have max open, so maybe it's not optimized, but still, as you see, we have not a big deal because we have just like a bit of pre-ringing here, which doesn't make sense, but whatever. And we have as well the a few like 25 samples ahead of the actual kick. So that's a bit weird. I don't know if it's the render or maybe if I wanted to resample it would be better, but still it's not perfect. Anyway, I don't think it can be actually perfect because my MIDI note, they are perfectly on point, and as I'm triggered by this MIDI note, I should be as well exactly on point, but it's not exactly the case. Yeah, that's the subtleties of Max. So let's deal with these clicks that we are hearing whenever we change the parameters. The thing is that we don't want to interrupt any playing kicks. So the good thing with play is that it sends a bang out when the playback reaches destination, and this is something that we will be able to use. I think, yeah, we're gonna use something like gate or maybe a switch. Let's see. Oh, that's a gate. I think that's a gate, and we're gonna put this gate before the actual value here. So get that. Yeah, that's going to be like so. This gate is behaving really as the name states it. So if I send a 0 here, then the gate is closed, so nothing passes through. But if the gate is 1, then the message from here will go there. So I'm going to use this gate to make sure that if I sending something here, I'm not already playing. So if I receive, let's see, if I receive a note here, then yeah, I'm gonna firstly open the gate. Not sure if it's the right approach, but I'm gonna trigger a 1 to open the gate. Oh, don't even need that because actually I get a 1 from there, but it's not gonna be enough. So if I do so, yeah, I want to make sure that they happen in the right order. So trigger 1E, integer, and this is, we firstly will open the gate, and then we will send the message, and not the opposite. If you follow me, I need first to make sure that my message will pass through. So I'm going to send 1 here, and then I will send the message. If I do it on the opposite, it's going to be too late. But this one, should as well be controlled by the fact that my kick is already playing or not. This one message will do two things. Will do one thing. It's gonna, on top of playing, it's gonna trigger, it's gonna close its own gate. So I'm gonna send a 0. Whenever I get a message from here, I'm gonna close the gate so it won't be able to send anything. So if I trigger something here, so you see that now my gate is closed. If I send something here, I trigger a kick, so that's fine. But if I try to trigger a second one, it's working, so it's not what I want. Because here I'm sending again a 1. So, so not exactly it. It's gonna be, we have to use the Boolean E equal at the same time. And so my incoming here is, I have a value there of 1. And I'm not sending a 0 here. And this is controlling my gate. But again, we have the story about hot and cold inlets. So this one is cold, but I want to make it hot as well. So I'm gonna use this to trigger both the integer and send a bang. And now, if I do the same thing, my gate is closed. As you see, nothing passes through. Why is it so? It's because I'm not playing here. If I manually open the gate by sending a 1 here, now I can play 1 kick. Should be able to. Or is it too late? Yeah, it's probably too late. Let me think for a second. They're always good to think. So first, let's do it a bit. Let's overdo it somehow. So when I get anything from here, I want to close the gate. So I have here a value which should be 0, but or value should be 0. But after my kick has been played, I want to have the same value of 1 to make sure that I can play again. So one of these, if you follow me, I get a message from here. We'll see later how to deal with that. This message is going to be 1, and this one will need to provide information that we are already playing, so sending the 0 here. And then once the render kick has been played, I want to turn this value again to 1 to say, hey, I'm finished. Yeah, and I'm gonna use this value as a gate opener. Let's just remove that for readability's sake. So if I just connect this here, let's remove that. If I just connect this here, I'll probably have something mostly working, but my gate needs to open first. So let's just, no, I can do that like so. Okay, so my gate is open. I sent a 1, gate is open. I play a note, it's played. It's played again. And if I press repetitively on the same, I should not be playing twice at the same time. Yeah, you see, it's already it's always waiting for the kick to be over before playing the same one, the next one. It's a bit of an annoyance if you want to do kick rolls, as I was telling you a bit earlier, but at least it will be better if we are tweaking. So, and of course I need to open my gate if we are just started. So one thing I can do is use transport message And so if we're not playing, so if the transport is not playing, then my gate should open. So I can of course do load mess 1. So when I start live, then my gate is open, so the first kick can actually pass through. But sometime I can maybe use the transport state. If I'm playing, then I'm gonna follow that. If I'm not playing, then I'm gonna do as well. We'll see later if it's an issue. When I don't want to get into the situation where this thing is stuck, because I have no way of reactivating it if it's closed. So we can get to a device which actually produces no sound because the gate is closed. So now if I just change this, nothing happens. I have my kick, which is updated. And if I press play and try to tweak it while playing, as you see, I get the issue because my first kick actually played, but we don't have the next one. So yeah, so somehow my gate got closed, and I can't open it anymore. As you see, it's open now. I can just try and press play while we are open. Okay, for some reason it doesn't work for now. Let's clean up a tiny bit. So we have our gate here, which closes itself. If I open it, it closes instantly. That's weird. Is it playing? Is transport playing? Yes. But still, my gate opens and closes too fast. So that may not be the best approach. So we could probably use a switch and have 2 players, for example. So we have the possibility of playing several kicks at the same time, or we can switch to polyphonic mode and use the poly tilde object, which is a bit cumbersome, but that will actually deal with our problem of having 2 kicks play at the same time. So I'm gonna figure out the best way to do so. But if I have to do so, then we need to dig a bit into the poly tilde object, which is the way live, which is the simplest way in live to deal with polyphonic instruments. So the best thing to do is have a look at the documentation for poly tilde. And there was this poly buffer as well, but I don't think poly buffer is, it's really to manage different buffer objects, so it's not what we want to do. It's really the poly tilde that we want to have a look at. There it is. Voice messages. So if you're using poly tilde, you need to provide it a name, so we need a separate patch to deal with poly tilde. So if I do poly tilde, it's gonna be some sampler. It's actually a sampler, and we're gonna give this thing 8 voices, and that's it for now. We'll change that later. So if you open it, you see that there's nothing to be opened because the actual sampler thing doesn't exist. Let's change it to sampler underscore A.Y to make sure this is my device, whatever. And I'm gonna create a new patcher and save it as the name states it. So get this patcher, too many things, and I'm gonna use the same name, sampler W max patcher. And now I'm not sure if it's, let's see. I'm gonna choose it. There we go. So now if I open it, you see I see my actual sampler, and there is this little, let's clean up a bit all these. So you see, by default, it's showing me this sampler AOY, and with this parenthesis which say 1, which means that I'm actually seeing the first voice of my sampler. It's interesting. If you have a polyphonic stuff, you need to see what's happening in each of the voices. But that's just the beginning of this. Let's get back to it. So we're gonna use note messages, probably, and this is waiting for MIDI format. Note message, yeah, like here, like so. You see note message 48 with the velocity. Oh no, that's sending information to the voice. That's not what I want to do. Yeah, note $1 is pretty easy. What I want to do is make sure that I'm not using the same note each time. So if I receive something, I'm going to generate a note. So I'm going to generate the note, and we'll see that what that $1 is, but it's not a problem. And inside this poly sampler, let's copy that. So because we actually have to do something in that poly, let's just copy this player. And if I get back to that documentation, you'll see that in the poly we have to do some things to allocate and free the voices. So it's all explained here. The best thing is probably to copy all this, even though it's, of course, most of it is useless for us, but still, we only need part of what's happening there. Also, we can change this background to have something a bit clearer. Unlocked background fixed, and we're going to use, yeah, something like this. So this is receiving the messages. So here we'll receive actually the note value. All this is useless. We're not doing so when the line object is finished in the banks. Yeah, but here we're gonna use, instead of this, we're gonna go, we'll change that. We're gonna go from there to there. So we're gonna play the rendered kick, and the bank of the end of playing my rendered kick is something that I will use to signify to the to Max that this voice has finished its job and is ready for the next note. It's the way Live allocates the voices between the available instances of each of the patches. So I can remove this. Note. No problem with this. Of course, I don't need to convert anything here, so I'm going to send one message here because I want to play. I can remove that. There is no need to convert any frequency, and actually it's a bank which I'm sending on both instances. So what's happening is I'm receiving a message, a note, and the first bank, this is useless. Yeah, we're probably not far from having a working thing, though I need to make sure that I'm doing so. That's note something, and which is good enough. So if I need to have when this outlet. Yeah, that's one of the issues of polytilde is that it doesn't update unless you change something here. So if just, yeah, I just change the number of voices, it just reloads the poly, and so we can use it. So let's try like so. Let's try put something in our kick. And if I send this, yeah, oh yeah, let's remove that just to make sure that we get the right one playing, but it seems that it was already the case. Or not. Yeah, note 0. Let's open first voice. If I do send this message, it's going to be open the first voice. One has been sent. The bang has been sent. And so that voice is available. Packet voice number. Need to think a bit more to make sure. So let's just remove all this, because it's really bad. I think it's a bad approach to use this to avoid clicks. It's better to use the poly tilde. Yeah, it doesn't seem to do anything. So my voices don't seem to get available back. Though I get the bang. So we can put some I think that out one, because as you see here, we have out tilde, which for a polyphonic object means I'm sending audio signal, and we have the regular output for messages. So if I connect this there, I should just change the number of outputs, and now, yeah, as you see, I have more than needed. But if I connect the bang here, yeah, you see that something's actually happening, but it's not playing. Oh, my kick is again empty sometimes. Oh yeah. Oh, it's working actually. Good. So clean up a bit and for later. So that's it for today. We have been doing quite a lot of things today, struggling a tiny bit with the poly tilde. Before switching actually to the poly tilde, we tried to do some kind of manual voice management, but in the end it's usually better to choose what's providing stock objects within Maxforlive and use them at best. We still have some work to do. There's a lot going on as well, which will be happening next week. So if you like the video, please give me a like, and please subscribe to my channel. If you want to support me further and get free access to what I'm doing currently, and get the intermediate and as well the final version of this gig when it's going to be ready for release, please consider subscribing to my Patreon and supporting me a bit further. Thanks again. Cheers.